This is Ticats Today.
Yes, it is Ticats Today for a Wednesday, September the 1st, 2021. It's your digital host, Louie B. Thanks for checking us out on the Ticats Audio Network, wherever you get your podcasts. A reminder to like and subscribe, maybe leave a review as well. Always appreciate what you have to say. You can also hit us up on Twitter at Ticats or at @LouieB_TV. Happy September, first day of September, and you know what that means. We are just that much closer to the Labor Day Classic, now just 5 short days away. And the Ticats, we're back at the practice field today. Day 0 of practice ahead of Monday's Labor Day Classic against the Toronto Argonauts, and you can start to feel a little bit of a buzz in the air down here at the stadium as things are getting set, as we're getting ready to welcome fans back for the first time in more than 600 days, span of nearly 2 years between games at Tim Hortons Field, and much anticipated matchup against the Argos on Monday. We got a great show coming up today. Someone I've looked up to in the business, I should say, for a very long time. Chris Cuthbert, now with Sportsnet, but a longtime CFL broadcaster, a Canadian Football Hall of Famer in the media wing here. So looking forward to chatting with him about Labor Day Classic. Mixed emotions for CC heading into this game. So we'll get to Chris Cuthbert in just a few moments. We'll also hear from Coach O as he spoke after practice. We'll hear from Frankie Williams, named the CFL's top performer yesterday, and obviously a great performance, and he's looking to build on that as he takes on the Argos on Monday, as the rest of the Ticats do as well. All right, let's hear from Coach O, Orlando Steinauer. He spoke after practice today.
We just let it play out, but anytime you win, it's a great feeling, and it was good. It was good to be back on the field. Beautiful day out there, and I thought we were pretty efficient out there today. I think that's kind of the cliche that fall is football. To each their own. I just know that Labor Day usually signifies the halfway point of a season. I think everybody's kind of grooved and figured everything out and what this season's about. But other than that, it's just another football game that, albeit the Labor Day Classic. Yeah, well, Steven had he was having a great camp. He had I believe a foot injury at some point, so that kind of limited him. And we knew he was somebody we wanted to keep around. You never know when they're going to be called upon, as I was alluding to earlier. So yeah, he's just been a guy that's been steady. Confidence in himself is growing, obviously in his health, and then obviously the quarterbacks are comfortable throwing him the ball. So good for him. He was able to make an impact play for us, and we look for him to make more of those plays. Well, I think they're experienced. I think they're talented. I think they're playing with belief. I think they're playing hard. We know it's going to be a battle, but we won't focus a ton on them as much as we're focused on ourselves and just consistent improvement. They're very talented, right? And, they've got some belief. They've played some tough games right off the jump and handled themselves very well. So obviously we have a lot of respect for what they're doing, but again, our focus will remain solely on ourselves, and obviously we will pay attention to what they do.
That is Coach Orlando Steinauer as he spoke after practice today. And a couple of roster notes to let you know about here, as the Ticats have signed national linebacker Jarek Richards. Richards is 25. He attended camp with the Ticats in July. Was a 4th-round selection in the 2021 CFL draft. He spent 3 seasons with the St. Mary's Huskies, a native of Montreal, Quebec. That kind of triggered a couple of other roster moves, as quarterback David Watford, has been added to the active roster from the suspended list. Travis Vorncall has been added to the practice roster from the suspended list. And Wes Hills and Miles Manalo have both been placed on the 6-game injured list. So that 6-game injured list of the Ticats keeps growing. And again, they're not going to make excuses, but Tavir Posey's still on it. Braylon Addison's still on it. Chris Van Zyl on it now. And now, tough break. Miles Manalo is having a great season on special teams, and I'm sure he will be missed as they look to kind of replace his production on what he was able to do on special teams coverage. All right, we mentioned we mentioned Frankie Williams, named a CFL Top Performer. And obviously a well-deserved honor for Frankie, and we caught up with him after practice today to discuss being named a top performer, and his expectations heading into the Labor Day Classic.
It meant a lot. It was my turn. We'll have a lot of guys this year that I had their opportunity. Just make the plays when they come your way. Yeah, just as a unit, we talk about it. We harp on it. Just get as many first downs as possible. That'll be less offense and field position that the offense don't have to do. Grit. That we won't quit. We didn't start off very fast, but it started from the top with Coach Jeff. We follow his lead strongly. I try to just lead by example, have fun with it, play with enthusiasm, passion, and make sure we execute, and then just keep going, man. I think the biggest thing I would say is grit. We just won't give up. We keep fighting and have that mentality. Yeah, whatever the team needs me to be, I am. I just want to make sure I'm accountable before myself, before anybody else accountable. Make sure I come in ready to work hard, feed off everybody else's energy. It's a lot of leaders on our team. You don't have to be a vet. You could be a rookie. It's a lot of ways to lead. We just want to make sure we're growing together and continue doing that. Yeah, we want to be the first team in the country to go through a game with no penalties. It's definitely something we harp on, we focus on, we emphasize on. Just playing smart football, complementary football. We don't need those things to help our offense that'll hinder us. The defense work hard to get us the ball back. So on special teams, we want to maintain position or create a turnover, depending on what special teams unit out on the field, and then just get a back ball to our offense and let them do what they do. Yeah, it was fun. It was real good. We had some guys in early that played their role, did their job, and it was fun. But we got our guys back now. It's a great group of guys. All guys can play. All guys can fit in and do what we need to do. It's just a matter about communicating, making sure we do the fundamental things right, correctly, execute in practice all week, and then it'll always carry over to the game. But I definitely think these 4 days will help us, just a group getting back. We got some young guys that do their part on and off the field, helping us with tendencies and things like that. It's just a big group effort.
That is Frankie Williams, the Week 4 CFL's top performer after a solid game from him. Of course, Labor Day just a few short days away. You're going to want to make sure you tune in to the Ticats audio network as you're tailgating, as you're making your way to the stadium. Andy Fantuz and I will have Tiger Cats pregame presented by Active Green and Ross 1 hour before kickoff. Of course, we'll hand it over to RJ Broadhead and Luke Tasker, who will have the call of that game against the Argos. And Ticats Audio Network always pumping out great new shows for you, and a brand new episode of the Coach O Show dropping today, so make sure you go check that out. And a brand new episode of Taskin' Twos starring Luke Tasker and Andy Fantuz that will be coming out tomorrow. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts on the Ticats Audio Network. All right, I am very, very pleased to be joined by my next guest here. He is a Canadian Football Hall of Famer, a legendary CFL broadcaster, and this year got to check something off his career bucket list as he called the Stanley Cup Finals on national TV for the first time. And I'm very pleased to be joined with Chris Cuthbert now. And Chris, first of all, thank you so much for doing this. You're someone I've looked up to in the business for a while, so thanks for the time today.
Good to be with you, Louie, and it's great to be able to talk about Labor Day for sure.
I read a piece once you took the Sportsnet job, and from last year, you sat down with Kevin McGran, and you had said that Labor Day was going to bring some mixed feelings. And I have a feeling that this year with football back, that might be even more so.
Well, I noticed last year more than I think any other day in the summer when Labor Day hit and there was no football, that it really hit home for me. There was that void that all Canadian Football League fans felt. And this year it's great that they're back. Let's give Marshall Ferguson a shout out for his first broadcast last week. And I know fans across the country are excited about Labor Day. They always are. I am too, but bittersweet because I know for so many years I'd either be at Ivor Wynn or Tim Hortons, and in recent years almost always at Old Mosaic or New Mosaic, and then rushing for the airport to get to Calgary for the Labor Day game there the next day. So it was one of my favorite weekends of the year for sure.
So this will be the first time in, I believe, 30 years that you're not in the booth for a game. Can we go back to that first one? Do you remember that first Labor Day Classic that you worked?
Well, the neat thing for me was my very first game on national television was a Labor Day game. Don Whitman was covering the World Track and Field Championships in Japan, and so I waited 7 years at CBC for an opportunity to do a game. And on one hand, you couldn't have asked for a better game to get a Labor Day game in Hamilton, and Toronto. Now, the situation was a little bit different because the Ticats were 0-8 going into that game. The Argos were on their way to a Grey Cup with Rocket Ismail, Matt Dunnigan, Mike O'Shea, the middle linebacker. They were a powerhouse team, Pinball Clemens, of course. So it was 0-8 Ticats. And so you go in happy you got the game, just hoping it might be close. Well, it was more than that. It was just a spectacular day for the Tiger Cats. It was the end of the David Beckman era. Not David Beckham, but David Beckman had been the coach. He was fired at 0-8. John Gregory came in, and the Ticats end up winning, I think, 42-24. And Lee Knight had the game of his life. He had 2 touchdowns, and I just looked it up. Lee Knight only had 2 touchdowns that whole year. If memory serves me correct, he almost had a 3rd touchdown. I think he got stopped down at about the 1-yard line. But it was nonstop big plays. It couldn't have been a better showcase for me. And if that had been a blowout, I might never got another game. But I just rode the coattails of a classic Canadian Football League game, and the rest is sort of history. But I also think it says something about Labor Day that an 0-8 team can do that. And I got one more story about Lee Knight there, because a million years later, or maybe in the last few years, I was getting ready for a game at I think at Ivor Wynne, maybe in the last year at Ivor Wynne. And a girl approached me the day before the game or game day and introduced herself. She says, "I'm Lee Knight's daughter." And I said, "Oh, I'm really pleased to meet you." Boy, did he ever light it up on Labor Day in 1991. And she rolled her eyes like only a daughter could and said, "Oh, yeah, we hear about it all the time." But it was beautiful because I know Lee Knight, and I cherish that 91 game probably more than anybody else.
Well, as someone who has heard the story about how his dad tore his kneecap playing football at Sir Winston High School in St. Catharines, I appreciate a good dad story and a good dad eye roll anytime. Art Cal's saying it that Christmas might as well come on Labor Day. What is it about Labor Day? You mentioned it there, that even an 0-8 Ticats team, it can feel like the Grey Cup. What makes Monday afternoon football in the Stipley special?
I guess it's tradition. I think a lot of things go into it. It's I think when the calendar turns to September, everybody, it's back to work, it's back to school, but there's one last kind of, shot at summer. But there's just something about the mood, the celebration, and we heap on the history, and it's amazing how the players, and many of them are new to it every year, but they immediately, it's by osmosis, they understand it's not another game. It's like the closest thing you can get to the playoffs before the playoffs, and it usually means some pretty spectacular football.
As I don't want to call you an outsider, but as someone who doesn't have a responsibility to call the games, not working the games, as a fan, what have you seen through the first few weeks of the season here that's caught your eye?
Well, defense first, for sure. I'm waiting for the offenses to catch up, because that's when the CFL's at its best, I think. And I'm probably got the wrong audience here, because for a million years the Ticats have been known for their great defense, and that's what Ticat fans love about their team. But I'm waiting for the offenses to get juiced up a little bit. But it's competitive. It's like any other year. We get to Labor Day, and there is a little bit of a separation. But I really do believe it's what happens from Labor Day on that tells you a lot about who's going to win in the Canadian Football League. So I think we're just getting warmed up.
And I know you know Orlando Steinauer well from his playing days, now with his coaching days. Obviously, he's the right guy to lead this team, but how do you expect him to kind of take this team to the next level after what he did last season?
Well, I don't think there's a better coach in the league, and right now, and I'm not just saying this. I don't have to be nice to anybody, but there's really good staffs right across the league right now. But Orlando's just he's just one of the good men in the league, and they're gonna get it going on both sides of the football, and I think we all expected that Hamilton was going to run away and hide in the East. That's not going to happen, and the Labor Day rivals are a lot better than I think people expected out of the gate. Ryan Dinwiddie's done a terrific job with the Argos, so I think this next couple of games is going to tell you a lot.
And I just got to ask you a non-football related question, because I know that it had been one of your career goals to call, a Stanley Cup on national television. Having to get to experience that in the last few months, what was that moment like for you as someone who has accomplished so much in Canadian broadcasting, gold medals, Grey Cups, to have that kind of to reach that moment for yourself? What did that mean to you?
Well, it was a long time. That's a long-standing goal, and I started with Hockey Night in Canada in 1984, and thought that one day in the distant future, I'd get that opportunity. I didn't realize the distant future might be 37 years later, but it was great. And you know what? I'm grateful for the number of Grey Cup games I got to do, because I thought it prepared me well for the occasion, and especially after the game. That post game after a championship is one of my favorite things, where you can celebrate the accomplishments of each individual as they get their turn with the cup, and I used to love that about doing the Grey Cup every year. As much as you like calling the game when it was over, and you could kind of pay tribute to the team that had the last team standing. It's always been special for me, and I finally got to do it for a hockey championship as well.
Well, Chris, as an 18-year-old kid in grade 12, not sure what he wanted to do, listening to you call Sidney Crosby's golden goal in my friend's basement really helped push me in the direction. And I just want to let you know that I'm not sure if I'd be sitting here if it wasn't for the legend that you are. So thank you, and thank you for giving me some time this afternoon.
Awesome, Louie. We could talk Labor Day football all day, but especially with you. And all the best in your career, and thanks for making me feel a little bit older, but that's okay.
My thanks to Chris Cuthbert. And every once in a while, you kind of pinch yourself and you stop and you see who you're talking to. And yesterday had a moment like that with Rod Smith, and today having a moment like that with Chris Cuthbert. That story, 100% absolutely true. 18-year-old, 17-year-old, grade 12 kid, not sure what he wanted to do. Saw the moment, the Olympic gold medal, the golden goal, Sidney Crosby, and really inspired me to become a broadcaster, and to get to talk to Chris Cuthbert. Just always a special time. So my thanks to him for stopping by. And my thanks to you for stopping by as well, because we could not do this show without you. We appreciate your support. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. All you got to do is search the Ticats Audio Network. Of course, we have your daily updates from practice with Ticats today, and a great lineup of shows for you to check out. And make sure you go do that. Thanks for tuning in today. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place. For the Ticats Audio Network, I'm Louie B, hoping you have a great day.